I'm Patty Lofgren. I'm the Director of Professional Development at the Mathematics Education Collaborative, also known as MEC.
And I'm Ruth Parker, MEC CEO, and we received a grant from the State Superintendent's Office to prepare a next generation of mathematics teacher leaders for Washington State, as there's a huge need for more leaders who can provide high-quality professional development to teachers. This is a statewide effort, and so each of the educational service districts in the state selected a team of classroom teachers who they saw some potential in as future teacher leaders.
First diagonal.
And 2 years later, these leaders are now providing mathematics content workshops for classroom teachers from across the grades 4 to community college levels. And they've already reached hundreds of teachers with the potential to reach thousands more as they continue to roll the workshops out. There's several unique aspects to the work. MEC employed a delayed leadership model. So these teacher leaders had 2 years to attend mathematics content workshops and school year virtual meetings as they worked to transform their own mathematics classrooms in preparation for their new leadership roles they were going to be taking on. So deep and profound changes have happened in their classrooms, and they now know firsthand what works for students. This is a statewide effort, and we have classroom teachers from 4th grade through college level who have learned mathematics together, have worked together to change their own classroom practice, and who are now partnering together as they roll out these workshops for teachers throughout Washington State. What's unique is the very nature of the MEC content workshops.
Ruth and I know firsthand from experience and have known for a very long time that all students can learn mathematics in deep and powerful ways if we can shift our classroom practice in ways that honors the differences among students and that brings thinking, reasoning, and sense-making to the forefront of our mathematics classrooms.
I'll start with what I think has gone on in my classroom and with me as a teacher, and it comes back to, I think, what's really unique about this workshop and this series of workshops has been the ability to allow us to be students and really get us engaged in problems and thinking like students and be challenged by problems. And because that's been so exciting for me, which I've never had a workshop that did it to that extent, that's been so exciting for me that I realized it's not fair for me to be the only one that gets that feeling, that my students need to experience that as well. And so that I could go back into my classroom and realize, okay, I can't teach in the same way I've taught, or they're not going to get that excitement that I get as a student.
The idea that you can't teach in a way that you haven't experienced for yourself, I think is huge for the people around me. They haven't had the opportunity to go through an experience like this, and so they have a hard time latching on to the idea of teaching in this way.
As a learner in this workshop, and it's the only workshop ever that this has happened, where I'm actually curious and excited about math. And so I get to explore those curiosities, and with that excitement that I get, I want to make sure that my students get that as well. And now in my classroom, they get to say, I'm really wondering this, and we get to go there together and let them be excited and curious about math and enjoy mathematics as well.
Now that I'm being able to investigate the concepts, and it's so powerful. It's so powerful. And so I was so excited to take that back to my classroom. And the idea of, I remember the first summer what I took away is this idea of rescuing. We don't want to rescue our students. And so that was one of the first things that I really wanted to try out that first year after ratios and proportions. And I saw such a dramatic change just from that one little piece that I changed in my practice. Instead of saying, yes, that's correct, having students create mathematical arguments to convince the rest of the class, to convince themselves. And that was a really big change I saw in my students. And so now it's amazing because I rarely get asked, is this correct? They're able to tell me, oh, I know this is correct because here's my proof.
Having these classes where we as educators sat down and saw so many different ways that people saw the problem. And it just continued to reiterate in my brain, if there are so many of us who've been trained in mathematics that now come together and see a problem differently, think of what that does to our classroom and how many kids are at so many different levels just trying to figure out what math is all about. And it kind of gave you that permission to go back to that classroom and go, wow, let's look at each kid more as an individual.
Placement here is you can follow a diagonal down easily.
I was taught the tricks along the way, and I was very good at following rules and understanding procedures and did fine in math. But I think that by looking at math through this project, I'm seeing math for the first time. And I'm really understanding the relationships and the beauty of those relationships for the first time. And giving up that control and the idea that I do have that knowledge, or I'm the keeper of that knowledge, has been very powerful. And recognizing that my kids have just as much knowledge as I do because they see it in a way that I haven't seen it before. And I think we're all learning from each other.
I didn't have to work hard to be a student. It wasn't like I had to pretend. I've been excited all the time because I'm completely confronted by weaknesses that I have in my mathematics and understandings that I thought I knew and I really didn't understand. And so then once that excitement enveloped me, then I couldn't do anything but go back and share that excitement with my students.
One of the pieces of the way the courses are designed are to create some disequilibrium in the learners. And as a teacher, becoming a learner again and confronting mathematics in a way that I felt very confident going into, and then realized how precarious my understanding might actually be, created that disequilibrium in myself. And I think that serves two ways. I think it serves us in the classroom because many of our students live in a constant state of that disequilibrium, and being able to live that and see how you come out of that helps you to make better teacher moves to help the student allow themselves to get out of that state and discover those aha moments. And I think it serves as a leader of a course because that's what you're going to be creating for all those teachers that are participating in the course as well. And it prepares you on how not to rescue them, and it prepares you on how to almost commiserate with them or understand where they stand so that you can really give them the time and honor their need to continue to wrestle with the problem. And I found that to be a very powerful and important part of the workforce.
In order to make these shifts in their classroom practice, teachers need opportunities as learners themselves to experience mathematics learning in classrooms that fully model what we're asking them to do in their own classrooms. Some of these very important shifts, we think, include probing to understand student thinking rather than asking questions that guide student thinking, embracing cognitive dissonance as sites for learning, and allowing diverse approaches to mathematical problems and having students share those diverse approaches, encouraging students to solve mathematical problems in ways that make sense to them, and then sharing those diverse solutions so that students can connect the mathematical ideas and therefore go deeper into the mathematics.
One of the big ideas at the center of all of our work is that we used to believe that our job was to teach our students to see what we see, and we don't believe that anymore. We really think that our job as teachers of mathematics is to teach our students to see and to understand that no matter what the problem or the situation is, we don't all see it the same way. But if we really listen to and try to understand our different ways of seeing and look for the relationships among them, we're all going to see more clearly and we're all going to understand more deeply. So these shifts that we're taking on in the mathematics classrooms, we believe go far beyond mathematics and really result in human beings or adults who can interact with each other in a much healthier way out in the world.